hope you're doing well. Welcome to Knitter's Life, my series about knitting and life stuff. And yeah, this is my channel, Whiskey and Wool. I hope you are doing well, and it is middle of August. We're having kind of a overcast day, which is nice because it's been so hot. The whole nation, actually the entire world, is experiencing like excessive heat and drought, which is awful. I hope people in power get serious about doing something about it. Yeah. Welcome. I'm doing fine. I am dreading the end of summer, as I always do. I mean, the weather aside, I just, fall indicates, back to school. I work in a university and I spend a lot of time, a lot of my September hustling. And it really goes from 0 to 100. I'm in a very chill, relaxed moment right now, but I can already hear the chirping going on around me. Of like, we gotta get going, school's starting up, blah, 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 blah. And then it's just, it's not insanely busy necessarily, it's just the difference between how it is now and how it will be is huge. And so it just takes a little getting used to, and I usually go with my heels dug in right up to the beginning of the semester. We are starting early this year, so early for us. We usually start after Labor Day. We're starting the week before, so that's feeling a little even more compressed, but whatever. It's fine. You're not here to listen to me complain, though maybe some of you are in the same boat. Maybe you also work in school systems and you understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. Welcome, though. Welcome. We're going to talk about knitting and spinning. I have a little bit of spinning. I have a little bit of knitting, and I have a little bit of whiskey today. So I do have a whiskey chat, which I'm going to start with. That is coming up in the next minute or so. If you're new here, welcome. Extra special welcome. Extra special welcome to my returning viewers as well. I usually do a whiskey or gin chat where I just talk about whiskey or gin that I'm tasting, and I, do a little spiel about where it's from, a little bit about the production that I focus on, the aspects of production that bring us to a particular taste. So it's usually we talk about the ingredients or the aging process or things like that. And then I taste it and tell you what I taste, and then tell you what some experts say. It takes about 10 minutes usually. This is an interesting one coming up. Yeah, I don't know. Watch it or don't. If you don't want to watch it, I'll tell you where to skip to right now, and we'll get right into the knitting. Hi, I'm going to do a little whiskey chat with you. Today I am tasting a Swedish whiskey called Mackmyra. Mackmyra. If you're surprised that Sweden has whiskey, this is the only whiskey distillery in the entire country. And it's fairly new, I guess, compared to Scottish whiskey and Irish whiskey makers, and even Japanese. I think they all got the jump on Sweden before Sweden opened up their own whiskey distillery. So I have a little bit of a story to tell you about Mackmyra's beginnings. And let me see, I have their story. So the story goes that a group of friends, 8 friends, got together every year after they graduated from engineering school, And they, in 1998, they each brought a bottle of whiskey. And as they started to talk about it, during dinner, they started to wonder why there were no Swedish whiskeys, single malt whiskeys. And they were wondering, like, if it was possible to make Swedish whiskey, why hadn't anyone done it? And in their investigations, they discovered that no one had made it yet. Barley is available in Sweden, as is water, and those are the two ingredients that you need to make whiskey. So they established their business, Mackmyra, in 1999. And about 3 years and a day after that, they were able to start bottling their whiskey and putting it out into the world. So yeah, so they've only been around a couple decades, a little over a couple decades. A few other, they listed their milestones, so this is kind of interesting. The year after they established their business, they were able to create 30-liter casks, which are quite small. And that allowed for them to have a little bit more intense and flavor intensity, and also to maneuver a little bit more given whatever market trend there was at the time. So they were certainly, these friends were certainly enjoying, you know, the fruits of like being this niche, having a niche in the market, in the whiskey market, of being like from Sweden. I'm sure they had to battle some battles to convince people they were serious. But I think what you'll see in their product line now is a lot of creative approaches to the way that they blend whiskey and the flavors that come out of their whiskey. Some very traditional ones, but also some very interesting, unique approaches to different styles of whiskey and such in their line. They also make gin, which I have not ever seen, but I'm gonna look for it to see if I happen upon it. In 2004, they were able to buy an abandoned mine and use that to store their casks in. So it's like being underground keeps the temperature nice and even and allows their casks to mature in a very, you know, conducive atmosphere. So that happened in 2004. And then in 2000, they opened a couple other warehouses around. They are located about an hour north of Stockholm. So they're in the countryside outside the city of Stockholm. So they're close enough to ports and stuff to distribution, but they're far enough out into the country where it's, you know, just a beautiful setting, which I'm sure I've put some pictures in. They have a super unique distillery that they began to build in 2009. And Swedish, I don't know a lot about Swedish culture. I don't really know anything about their language. Some of the words in the stories that I'm telling you, I'm skipping over because I just do not know how to pronounce them. But I do know that the Swedish population and those Scandinavian countries tend to be a little bit more climate minded than we are here in the US, for sure. So they conceived the idea of making a distillery vertical instead of horizontal, so to make the footprint on the land very small. So they created what they call the gravity distillery, and they use gravity to also move their product through the stills and through the process of becoming whiskey. So it's pretty interesting. It's a very tall skyscraper-esque building. I don't know how many stories. It looks to me like it's probably 6 stories or so, maybe 7 or 8. There is a bar on top where you can taste their whiskeys. They also have a smaller facility right next to it that has a full restaurant and bar. as well as a gift shop, and they do give tours. There's some really nice virtual tours on their website too, if you want to see that, or I shouldn't say some, one virtual tour on their website if you want to watch that. Yeah, so I thought those were some very interesting things. In terms of their lineup, they have a core collection, they have a seasonal collection, which they only do 2 releases a year, and then they have a collection of what they call moments collections, which I'll explain in a moment, and then a collector's corner where I think they make very small batches. You can also buy a cask. You can own one of their 30-liter casks. Just purchase it. I think they run around 2,000 euro, which these days I think the dollar and euro are pretty equal. So yeah, for like $2,000, you can own 30 liters. That's a pretty good bargain when you figure whiskey is about $100 a liter, less than a liter, $100 a bottle. Yeah, you're getting like half price bottles, maybe even a little better. Of course, and apparently as you drink, as you take draughts out of the cask, if you leave the whiskey aging in the cask, it continues to evolve. So if you bought yourself a 30-liter cask, you could take a bottle out, like they have them make 1 or 2 or 3 bottles for you, and then go back a year or so later, or 2 years later, and have a different type of whiskey as you take out whatever it is you wanted. So I thought that was pretty cool. That's pretty unique. Other places do offer they do offer casks, but this company really talks a lot about it. And yeah, they do like some promotions on it and stuff. I think right now this summer they have a barge in Paris where they're using as a distribution to get directly to customers instead of using intermediary distribution companies. Because I saw some stuff, I didn't read a lot about it, but if you happen to be in Paris, you might see them. Anyway, yeah, so that is their story. Pretty interesting. I didn't know any of this about it. When I am tasting today, this bottle here, this is from a whiskey calendar, advent calendar that I got in 2020. And I put it aside. I had a handful of them that were just whiskeys that were from places other than Scotland that I just was like, oh, I'll get to them when I get to them. And then I never got to them before my next whiskey calendar came in 2021. So I've been working my way through 2021. It's almost gone, that one. This one too, I only have 3 bottles left. And one of them is another Mackmyra whiskey, moment whiskey. These 2 moments you cannot buy anymore, or if you can buy them, you're buying them from a collector. The reason that they have this moments collection is because their master mixer, their master taster, goes into the storeroom, and as she tastes barrels that she thinks are getting close to being ready, she if she finds one that's really unique, she'll set it aside, and it gets bottled into a limited bottling, into one of these moment bottlings. They have other moment bottlings that you could buy now, but I couldn't find these anywhere, and everywhere that I looked they were sold out. Now, had I tasted them in 2020 when I got them, I probably could have gotten some bottles, put my hands on some bottles at that point, but I just didn't. So, I mean, I think it's still going to be exciting to taste it, and certainly the rareness of it makes it, all the more enticing. And I'm probably going to, because these are not a full drink, these are a half, 2/3 of a drink, I will probably have both. But I'm going to just do one after the other. But on camera, I'm just going to be tasting this one, which is called... I'll put it on screen to Karibien. I might be saying that wrong. I don't know what it means. It is a single malt from this distillery made out of Swedish barley, etc., etc. What I know about it is that it was finished in rum casks. So rum usually brings rum casks from Jamaica and Barbados. So those casks usually bring fruity flavors, and sometimes tropical flavors like pineapple and coconut and banana and stuff like that. So I'm curious to see what this tastes like. So we're gonna taste. I'm gonna taste and talk to you about it. This is you can see the color. It kind of matches my shirt. It's a nice mellow gold. Can definitely smell. You get a lot of sweetness right at the top. It smells almost like brown sugar. And then a tropical fruit smell, I would say, like pineapple. There's also a hint of smoke. This distillery, these owners, they really wanted to enhance smoky flavors when they first started. So you might see that in the lineage of some of the whiskeys that they have these days. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. It really smells super fruity. Okay, yeah. Right up front, that sort of toasted brown sugar, caramel taste, followed by kind of a fruit salad taste, like a blending of many fruity flavors. And it ends with a little hint of citrus, I would say, and maybe a touch of spice, but a gentle spice, not a sharp spice. It's a rather gentle, spicy flavor. I want to say ginger, but I might not be right about that. It's definitely not cloves, because cloves is really pungent. Yeah. Might be like a toasted marshmallow taste there at the front. It's so good. All right, let me see because it's no longer being made by them, they don't have anything to say about it. I couldn't find anything even in their archives, but I was able to find some tasting notes from another expert taster. And yeah, okay, let me just make sure. Single malt held in rum casks from Barbados and Jamaica. 25% of the casks are ex-sherry casks and cherry wine. So what you have on the nose, buttery pastry with rum-soaked dried fruit. I assume that rum-soaked is the sugary smells I was getting. Ground almond, yes, almond, and savory oak. On the palate, chocolate eclairs, pineapple fritters, vanilla-rich barley, and quince. Quince has a little bit of a citrusy taste, so that may be what I was talking about, or what I was tasting. Chocolate eclairs, though, I need to have another taste. And then at the finish, soft hints of sultana, raisins, and ginger snaps. So yeah, I did okay with that. I wish I had more about it, but that's all I have. I'm gonna see if I taste that chocolate eclair. Yeah, I guess I could see that would be chocolate. I could see that. Oh, wow. It's really, really nice. I'm looking forward to tasting that. This second one, just to give you a real quick lowdown on this, it's called, oh my goodness, Fjallmark? I don't know. Because Fjallmark? Because it's FJ. All right. Anyway, that's what it's called. Again, from 2020. This was held in previous casks that held cloudberry wine and also ones that held sherry. So, and the term Fjallmark translates to mountain land. Also, the labeling and stuff is very clean. I probably already, maybe I'll put it on here, a picture of what the box and bottles look like. The bottles are like very traditional, like long neck, and squat bottle. Tasty notes for this say poached pear, hot chocolate with a hint of nutmeg. Wow, this really sounds like Christmas. Warming oak arrives first, then notes of vanilla and salted fudge. Finish is lingering dried fruit and stem ginger. This sounds really great. Holiday in a glass. All right, I hope you enjoyed this whiskey chat, and I will see you again soon. All righty, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. That was, I wish I didn't wait so long to learn about that whiskey. That was pretty interesting. Anyway, hope you got something out of that. I'm here to talk about knits now. I do have a couple finished objects. Oh, I should also say without delay that I am wearing the Daily Pullover by Paula Periera. It is a pattern she designed for Purl Soho, so you can buy it from Purl Soho either on Ravelry or in their online shop. It is designed for linen quill, which I did make my first one. This is my second one, and this is my third one. All the Daily Pullover, just using different types of yarn. But before I talk about what Martha, my mannequin, is wearing, let me show you my finished objects. I listened to myself say that I needed to get these socks done in my last episode, and I got these socks done. These are the DRK Everyday Sock pattern that I have modified to knit with a DK weight. I think I have found, I mean, I hope my returning viewers are not bored to tears listening to me talk about this pattern, but I honestly think I found the pattern that works for me. And I think it's because it's a ribby knit. It's a 2x2 rib knit pattern. It is knit toe up. There is a fleagle heel, so that means you're not doing a heel flap, you're increasing slowly on the back needle to create the room your instep needs, and then you make a triangular shaped heel flap that you just do with short rows. So it's pretty simple, I think, and then you get back to your foot count becomes your ankle count, and then you can knit as high up as you want. I had this idea. I discovered this pattern, I think it's been out a few years, but I started to knit it last year, or maybe late 2020. It might have been in there, just to see if it would work. And the first pair I made, I did do it in 2020. I did discover it in 2020, around the summer of 2020. The first pair I made too big. So I gifted them to someone in my life who they fit, and then I started again making a smaller size. So one of the things that I have learned is that, about sock knitting, and some of you experienced sock knitters will just be like rolling your eyes at me, I'm sure, or laughing, or just saying, oh my god, I can't believe you didn't know that. There's like a significant amount of negative ease that's important in your socks. I didn't understand that until I made a pair that was too big for me. So anyway, I've learned quite a lot. I've just been focusing on this one pattern, aside from doing a couple other patterns here and there, which I don't think I've done anything but the DRK Everyday Sock this year. Last year I may have done one or two others. So yeah, I've been enjoying it, and I think I've come to realize that this DK weight is really kind of more my thing when it comes to socks. I really like nice thick socks, and I think the fingering weight socks really just don't do it for me. Like for my everyday socks, I like thick socks. I usually wear, before I learned about hand knit socks, I always wore smart wool socks. And I buy the most cushioned ones, the ones that are really designed for hiking or for yeah, some very, very heavy wearing, and I love them. I still have plenty of pairs that are doing just fine and don't need have not worn out. And yeah, the fingering weight socks for me are kind of more like what I might wear as a dress sock, but in my current job, I don't really wear dress socks. I usually wear heavy socks and, you know, either sneakers or boots to work, or sandals in the summer. So I need the heavy socks, I think. Anyway, I decided to make a pair of socks for each of my adult children and their partners. So that's a total of 5 adults. So this is the very first pair of the 5 that I've made for them for Christmas. These are going to be in their Christmas stockings. And I bought some BFL superwash yarn from the Corner of Craft, Hannah, the Corner of Craft. She's a UK indie dyer, and her dyeing line tends to, let me show you her tag. Her dyeing line tends to be centered around Dungeons and Dragons, or D&D, which you can see the 20-sided dice right there. So she, you know, it makes colors inspired by that. So she made a series. I think she might be still making them, or maybe she's making it periodically, because I did see it. I bought these early, so I bought 1 skein of this series that are all based on resistances that happen in D&D and Dungeons and Dragons. So in that, Dungeons and Dragons, if you're not familiar, is a tabletop dice game where you have a dungeon master or a game master who's telling a story, and the players around the table are characters in the story. So yeah, so they have agency to do what they want in the spectrum of whatever the story is that the game master is sharing, and then you use dice to figure out the random stuff that might be happening. So it's pretty interesting. Anyway, my sons all play D&D. They're partners. My daughter-in-law has played, but she's very busy. She's a new mom, and she's in school, so she's not playing much, but she knows the game. And then my other son's partner plays along with him. And they play practically every weekend, different games and such. So yeah, I bought 4 skeins of this resistance yarn, and I should have bought 5. I don't know why I didn't, but I do have a couple DK weight skeins that I've set aside for socks. This rainbow speckled, this gray based rainbow speckled, is called Chaos Resistance. And blue-faced Leicester, if you're not familiar, is a long fiber wool, and it's really great for socks. It should be quite sturdy. And the superwash process adds a bit of plastic to the wool, so that should make these pretty good. Knowing my sons, I don't think they're gonna wear these out and about much. I think these will probably be like in the house socks for them, but who knows? Who knows? Okay, yeah. So I finished this pair. This pair has been on my needles since I think June. It's been quite a while. I was using it as sort of travel knit, or like carry it along, like, because socks are nice small knitting packages that you can just carry around, and it's really nice to just have a small thing. And yeah, so I needed to make some time to work on them here, but I have a second pair done as well. Surprise! You see, this is your one and only time seeing this pair. This is for my one son who is a size 12.5, 13 shoe. And he loves vivid blues and purples. So I think he will really, really love these. And the nice thing about this DK is that it is 246 yards, so I'm able to, this one's called Spell Resistance. I'm able to get a pair out of 1 skein. In fact, this is all I have left of this one. And of the Chaos Resistance, I have this much. I have a bit more left. For a size 12.5, 13 shoe, this is, oh, I forgot to say, this is a men's size 10. This is men's size 12.5 to 13. I did make more. These are actually also a little damp because I literally just finished them yesterday and pulled them off the blocking mat to show you. Yeah, so I got some charts. I Googled shoe charts, sock charts, to just understand the difference between a shoe size and how long, what's the length of the foot, what's the difference between the length of the foot, what's the difference, you know, in the circumference and all of that. So there is about four more stitches? I think it's 4 more stitches around for the circumference, and then the foot size is about an inch longer, or maybe 3/4 of an inch. It might be more accurate. So yeah, I'm excited to see how these go. So 2 down, 3 to go, and I still have 3 months, 2.5 months to finish them. So I should be okay. I am planning a pair of socks for my granddaughter. I want to make the Feet Monster socks by Sarah Lee. And yeah, I think those will be so fun. The smallest size for from Summer Lee's pattern, it's children through adults. The smallest size is going to be a little bit big for Julie. So I will, I'll probably modify the foot length a bit. She has long, thin feet, a lot like me and her dad. So I'll figure it out. I might just even make the size as is. And if they're a little big on her, that's fine. Because babies, she's almost 2. They're always growing. She's going to be growing. But yeah, I'm so excited to make those. I've been like sort of messing around with some red yarn and sort of gathering what I'm gonna make, which colors. I might make a couple pair if I have time before the holidays. We shall see. So yeah, 2 pairs of socks done, yay! All right, I have been working on my sweaters. This is my 3rd daily pullover by Paula Periera. This one is made out of 100% linen. It's the field linen from Purl Soho. I bought it on sale. They had a sale, and I just said, you know, I'm just gonna buy some black linen because I think I've been wanting to make a linen sweater for a long, long time, and I think it was on sale in the spring. So I bought a sweater's quantity. This is my last skein. Still working on one on the sleeves, but you can see I made it to the sleeves. You really can't see too much detail because it is black. So, but do you need to see much? It's got the same V like this. Construction. It will be long sleeves, long straight sleeves, and I think I'm gonna do a little bit more of an open sleeve and then a very narrow, like 1 inch or 3/4 inch 1x1 rib cuff, because linen doesn't have very much elasticity, so it's going to be a little aggravating for it to be. It's not gonna hug my wrist like this. So I don't know, we'll see. I did do a split hem. So and you can see this is not blocked, so it's not really laying well, but yeah, I did a split hem, and then I made the back a little bit longer, about 1 inch longer. And yeah, this is the bag hanging there, if you're wondering. And yeah, I've started on the sleeve. And you can also see how, I think I showed you in the past, like if you're returning, you'll remember the V is way down here. That's where the V happens. It actually happens after you split for the sleeves on this pattern. I modified the pattern a bit also in terms of gauge, because I wasn't getting gauge with the linen. I wasn't getting the fabric I liked with the gauge of the pattern, so I went up a needle size to get this more open knit. You can't even really see it though. You can see the white t-shirt, I guess, through the sweater. I'm pretty happy with it. Linen does have a tendency to grow, so I imagine when it gets wet it will grow a little bit. it's very stiff too, so it'll also get, the linen gets softer and softer as you work it. And that's true of, you know, from the moment that it's starting to get processed to be made into yarn, all the way through, you know, after it's been made into fabric and it's being used over and over. So the more times you expose it to hot water and that whole process of washing and caring for your garments, they get softer and softer and more, you know, more cozy. So I'm excited to see what happens to this fabric once I wash it, because it is very stiff. I have 2 more sweaters to show you. I also made very significant progress on my Vair sweater. I was like, what's this called? By Gundren Johnston. I am also on the sleeves, so yeah, I'm in the process of knitting 4 sleeves right now. But you know, the sleeves on both of these sweaters, it's just knitting round and round and round. And for my size, I'm able to use a 16-inch cable for most of the sleeve until it decreases so much that I can't. Usually I get down to about the forearm, and then I switch over to the Flippy Flex by, see, do I have a set here? By Addie, but there's other, like, I think Haya also makes them. It's these needles. So a set of 3 lets you mimic knitting in the round, with 1 needle holding half the stitches and the second holding the other half, and the third being your working. I really, really love them. I use these instead of double points, unless the only time I use double points is when I'm working in a very, very tiny circumference. But yeah, I am so happy with this. That is the sweater. I'm doing the straight sleeve. You can, hang on one second, I have a picture of the pattern right here. So you can see there is a balloon sleeve, and you can do a turtleneck or a crew neck. You can do a straight sleeve or balloon sleeve. I decided to do a straight sleeve, and I am going to do the turtleneck. I was thinking about it. I was going to do the crew neck because I thought, I don't really, sorry, I've got like hair stuck to my lipstick. I'm just trying to get it off. I was gonna do a crew neck, and I was thinking about doing the balloon sleeves, but I decided that I think I'm gonna like straight sleeves better, and I think I'm gonna like a turtleneck. I don't have any sweaters that have turtlenecks, so I think it could be nice to have one. The sleeve construction is very interesting. The only other time I did anything similar was working on an Isabel Kramer pattern. You may remember that because you're knitting the colorwork in the round, you create steeks. Oh, I have footage about the steeks, so I'm going to have you watch that before I jabber on about it here. So go ahead and watch that footage and come back and we'll talk more. Okay, here is my finished body of the Vair sweater. There you go. Very interesting construction, something I've never done before, but I have a feeling it probably has some traditional vibe to it. So yeah, you knit from the bottom up, get to the armhole split, and put, I don't know, a couple dozen stitches on waste yarn. I'm using barber cords, and then you start steeking the rest of the way up while you're also doing some decreases. And when you get to the neck, you bind off and you steek again. I have actually already done my crochet things there. This is ready to be cut. So, and then I'm going to crochet here and cut those. But in order to join the shoulders, you can still see I still have my needle here. You put a couple dozen stitches for your shoulder on waste yarn on the front, and then you go around and knit the back and put those also on hold. So I just left them on a needle, and then we're going to do a 3 needle bind off for the shoulders, which I've done and I love. I like that bind off quite a bit. Yeah, so next step is, so you can see these are all my waste yarn holding the shoulder stitches. There is some shoulder shaping that you do, some short row shaping that you do after, so you can see there's a little bit of an angle when you get to a certain point in the pattern. So yeah, the next thing that needs to be done is this cut. And so I already crocheted. The one thing to remember about doing crochet reinforcement, you're doing a single crochet. The thing I never remember that I always need to look up is you crochet in this direction and then in this direction. So from on the left side, as you're looking at it, you're going from bottom up, and on the right side, top down. The reason is that then when these are cut, first of all, they're easy to cut, they lay back, and there's a nice gap. Let me see if I can show you. So you can see there's like a very nice gap right there that I'll cut through. Yeah, and then these will fold under on the neck. They'll be like these weird little flaps. Who knows what that, I guess it's gonna be fine. I've never done steeks like this, but it makes sense. I get it. I get why you would do it. Yeah, so once I do that, I'll be able to join the shoulders in the 3 needle bind off, and then I can do the, actually I may steek the sleeves before I do those shoulders. So yeah, I'll probably do all the steeking, then do the shoulders. And then I can knit the neckline and the trim. I mean the neckline trim and the sleeves. I can begin the sleeves. So I just wanted to give you a quick update. I don't know if I can cut while I'm holding the camera, but I can try. If you're interested, let's see. Yeah, there we go. Yes, you just go bar by bar. Just cutting those bars in the center, see? And then the crochet chain that you did holds the stitches in place, and so there's no unraveling, and those will just fold over. Okay, here is the neck steek completely cut through, and you can see how the crochet, when it was sort of curling up, now it lays flat and you wouldn't really even know it's there except by feel. So yeah, that will tuck under like that for the neck trim to be attached. And this this front edge is curling quite a bit, but once the stitches are in place, it'll flatten out. And just so you can see what's happening on the sleeve, I have partially cut so you can see. So these are uncut. That's how the crochet lays open like that. And then after you cut it, it goes flat. So there it is. And I didn't do this perfectly. Like, you're supposed to be picking up half a stitch in the column and then another half. So basically you're doing like a blue row and a yellow row, like one stitch, one leg of each stitch. So yeah, I could see, like, after I cut it, I didn't pick them up perfectly. It's good enough. This is just more of an FYI, not really a tutorial, in case you're curious about steeking. And knit but not crocheted at all, this is what it looks like. You get this column of stitches. This pattern, normally you just do 5 stitches. This pattern had us do 9 in between for both the neck and the sleeve. I mean, I probably could have just done 5 on the neckband, but yeah. So I'll be cutting straight down the center of this gold column, and the crochet will be a leg of the gold and then a leg of the color on either side. So really splitting the stitch that we're cutting right in half. And yeah, that's how you get this structure right here. One last quick update. This is now all steeked. And I've done the shoulders. So here's the little neck steek right here. And here's the armhole. Yep. Everything worked out fine, and it fits on, I've stuck it on Martha. It fits very well. And now I just need to knit the sleeves and the collar, and block. It needs to be blocked, and the sweater will be done. Okay, so you've seen how I did the steeks, and then what happens is you pick up stitches all around the armhole, and then you work short rows to create the cap. You can see right there. And you start to wrap and turn, but you don't pick up the wrap stitch, you just knit the stitch that's hanging out there, and you end up with this pretty interesting texture. I think you can see it right there. Like sort of an interesting texture of stitches right along where the join happens. Pretty interesting. So yeah, that was cool. I've also never ever had a knitting pattern have me put the beginning of row marker on the outside. I just thought that was strange. Because I definitely don't want to be ending the row here on my cuff. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I decided to just leave it there in case there was a good reason, and to just follow the instructions of the pattern. And, you know, when it comes around to probably finishing the, doing the bind off row, I may just start it at the underarm, because I don't really think I want that little jog that happens at the end of your row to be on top of my arm. I think I would rather have it on this side. Can you see? Yeah, so see what I'm talking about? Like, see that little notch? You always kind of get that little notch. I guess you could really work hard to, maybe she has instructions. Maybe I'm going to learn something new. Who knows? Oh, I didn't tell you about the yarn. Sorry. Okay. The yarn is, the gold yarn is hand spun by me from fiber that I bought from John Arbon. And the fiber is part of their Viola line, which is a Falkland merino. I think it's 100% Falkland merino or 90% Falkland merino. It is so soft. It's beautiful yarn. Beautiful, beautiful fiber. In their shop, you can buy their Viola line in DK. They don't have it in fingering weight. I like to knit with fingering weight, so I decided to, sorry if you're tired of hearing me say that. I say that all the time. I like to knit with fingering weight, except for socks, apparently. Apparently for socks, I like DK. Yeah, so really pretty yarn. I bought 300 milligrams of it, or 300 milligrams, 300 grams. 300 milligrams would be small. It'd be like a mini skein. 300 grams of it, and I was able to spin about, I don't remember, 1,300 yards or so. That is way more than I need for this sweater. I think the pattern says that for my size I need 1,400 yards, but this is that, I showed you that big fat ball. That's only the second ball I've knit, and I have 4 of them. So yeah, I was a little confused over why, like when I was about halfway through the sweater, like you can see a lot of it is other colors. Like I could see 1400 yards for a sweater that you're knitting primarily all in one color, but for a sweater like this, I should have known. Like, I don't know why patterns do that. It's rather frustrating. I think I'm gonna get through this sweater with the main color in about 700-800 yards, but I'll let you know at the end. Hopefully I'll have this done next time I see you. Okay, the contrast colors. The contrast colors are, I have two that are from Loop Fiber Studio. So I have a burgundy, that is the colorway Body, and I have a teal blue, that is the colorway Far, from Loop Fiber Studio. 100% merino. I am also using a fuchsia from Lobby and May called Sorry. I am using a turquoise from Jamieson & Sons called Dewberry. This is all I have left of that. This was only about 100 yards skein, and I'm done with the color work. So all of this, this is all of my leftovers. And then I have this pale pink with blue speckles from a dyer who no longer dyes. I've had this around for quite a while. Yeah, so those were my colors. That's how I came up with this. I think I talked about this last time. I did change up the way the pattern has you do the color work. I used a total of 6 colors. The pattern only calls for 5. I just worked in another stripe repeat here with the teal blue, the turquoise. This was my extra color. So I just did 2 more repeats on either side. The body is knit in mirror image. You knit to here and then you flip it over and knit in reverse. And then for the color work pattern, you're meant to do it in a very much more specific way, where all of these little patterns are knit in the same color, and then you're bringing in the other 3 colors in this other in these other sections. But I just kind of went random because I really wanted all the colors to be in it. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's pretty nice. Okay, that's that. More on that when it is done. Oh, and what you're seeing here are the barber cords. Barber cords? Yes, barber cords. They're pretty cool to use for, you know, when you're putting stitches on hold. You can literally put them on your needle tip like that and then just pull the needle and it pulls the cord on along through the stitches. So it's pretty easy to put stitches on hold and take them off and put them back on your needle. I swear I thought this was going to be a short episode because I don't have all that much, but it's shaping up to be kind of a long one. Okay, last sweater that I knit on in this period of time is the Lace and Fade Boxy by Joji Locatelli. I find that you can see more if I open that up. I am not doing the fade part. I decided to just knit it all in one color. I actually, when I saw the episode that Joji made, her journal episode where she talked about this sweater and she was wearing it, I just thought it looked so beautiful. It looked so elegant. And I was like, wow, I could wear that to work or in more casual settings. And then the coin dropped for me that this would be a good sweater pattern for yarns that have a significant amount of silk in them and or other fibers that cause it to drape, to have really to be very, very drapey. And because sometimes when you're knitting a pattern you want yarn that's drapey and sometimes you want yarn that's more structured. I think for this pattern it really is beneficial to have a more drapey yarn. So I've had this yarn that is the main color. It's by Julie Aslin. It's her Fino line. It is merino, silk, and cashmere. It is so luxurious feeling. It's just beautiful. It feels so good on my hands when I'm working it. It's a real treat. But This is her colorway Road to Rhinebeck, which she made, I think, 2, maybe 3 years in a row and sold at different events like Indie Untangled and things like that. I picked up 2 skeins of it from Indie Untangled in 2018, and then I had this idea of what I wanted to make with it. I was planning to do like a lacy cardigan, and it just was awful. It just didn't look good. It was too drapey. I needed a more structured yarn to make that pattern. So I frogged it and put it away. And I just had been waiting for a pattern to come along that is suitable, that I like, and is also suitable for this very drapey, sexy yarn. So yeah, I'm so happy that this is something I've been able to get some old stash out of my storage, and I've been able to work on it. I did have to buy the mohair silk to match though. It's not a perfect match. I could have done better, but I really wanted a warm gray, not a cool gray. And I think I erred a little bit on a little bit too warm side, but I still really love it. I think it's gonna be just fine when it gets blocked and stuff, because you're seeing the lace, this mohair lace section, pretty crowded, and it's actually gonna open up quite a bit and be a little more sheer, and it won't be as dense in terms of its color when I block it. Yeah, so this is just knitting. It's a traditional boxy. If you know Joji Locatelli's boxy shapes, she's made 2 other patterns. They're very big, like 20 inches of ease big, design with a very much dropped shoulder, which I think you can see on me pretty well. How low? It's going down to my elbow, the drop. It seems to be anyway. Who knows what it'll be when I actually block it and such. But yeah, so it's a boxy cut, just straight sided, small ribbing at the bottom. Her other 2 boxies are knit bottom up. This is top down, which I really prefer. And yeah, you're just alternating between miles and miles of stockinette and then a 10-row lace repeat pattern. You're just doing 10 rows, and you only do those 4 times. I've gotten through 2. I've got 2 more to go. When I was reaching the end of the second one, I was like, oh my god, I'm so glad there's just 2 more sections. I did switch over to wooden needles, so I'm using Knitter's Pride. Is it Knitter's Pride or no, yes, I think it's Knitter's Pride line, where they color code the wood. So this is the color for this dark green is their color for size 4. So every set of, any needle that they make in this line that's a size 4 will all be the same color. So it makes it really easy when you're trying to find like double points in the same size. No worries. I always know these are my 4s. Yeah, so that's pretty convenient. So yeah, the switching to the wooden needles was really key when I'm working on the mohair section, because it's very slippery and you're doing yarn overs and slipping stitches, and it's really nice to have wooden needles that have a little bit more drag on them for that very slippery silk mohair. The silk mohair is from Neighborhood Fiber Company. And the colorway is Federal Hill. There you go. She used to make silk mohair a 60-40 blend, but she switched to the 70-30, which is more traditional. So there you go. There it is on the skein. This is all I have left of my second skein of this. Well, the first skein is not completely used because I didn't finish telling you. I told you last time. The yarn, I bought 2 skeins myself, and then later on, like about 6 months or so later, I decided I was making this sweater, and I knew I needed a 3rd skein. So I convinced a woman who had bought 1 skein to sell me your 1 skein. So I got it. And one of the 3 skeins is a little bit lighter. I think like the speckles aren't quite as light. You can see this is the lighter skein up here. And then I think the speckles just aren't as deep. They're more faded looking. Although this, I'm showing you the front, and on the back, I don't think it's as noticeable. Yeah. So, yeah, so I decided to use the light skein for the top section, and the collar, which I've already done the trim, and the sleeves. So I have that held aside. So this little ball of yarn that I have left just needs to make it through the section that I'm in now, and then I'll move to the last two sections will be the other skein. And I think I still will end up with a little bit of yarn left over. But I mean, this is a bajillion stitches. Well, it's not a bajillion. It's hyperbole. It's close to 400 stitches around. It's a lot of stitches. So these rounds, even though they're just stockinette, mine the stockinette, they take a long, long while. It's almost feels faster when I'm knitting the lace because I'm doing something every, I think it's 10 stitches, every 10 stitches. So, getting hot. It is warm today, although it's not bright and sunny. It's kind of humid. I think we're getting a rainstorm later this weekend. That is all my projects that I've worked on. I do still have a couple projects hanging out, knitting projects that I've sort of put on hold, and I do intend to get back to them. I just don't know when. I spent some time this past couple weeks exploring the Alpenglow, which I'll just show you black and white. That's the sweater by Andrea Mowry. I probably have a picture too that I can put on screen. This is the new Rhinebeck sweater for 2022. And I'm not going to Rhinebeck. It is my granddaughter's birthday, and we already have made plans to go to Maine to see them. And yeah, so I was not planning on making this sweater because for some reason in my head I thought it was going to be DK, and I don't have DK sweater quantities. So when it came out and I saw that she used sport base or sport weight, I was like, wow, I think I have some sport weight quantities. I thought I'd take you through my thoughts on the new, like what to knit for the new Andrea Mowry Rhinebeck sweater, Alpenglow. I wasn't planning on knitting this because I was convinced it would be DK weight, which I don't have any DK weight sweater quantities, and I'm not looking to buy any yarn. So I was like, I'll work on it. Maybe I'll buy the yarn at Rhinebeck or some other yarn festival I go to, and whatever. I'm not gonna put this in my queue. But it turns out it's a sport, and I have lots of sport. Well, I have lots of fingering and sport weight sweater quantities, but I do have a sweater's quantity of this PT2, Phenol PT2 from Rama. I bought this in 2020. I have a sweater's quantity. I bought this accidentally, I thought I bought a green, but I actually bought a blue, and I put it away and bought the green. And yeah, so I have swatched it and everything for, you know, in anticipation of a sweater that I might make from it. And anyway, I think this is going to be my base for the Alpenglow sweater. So now, what do I use for the contrast? It needs a little over, in my size, a little over 1 skein of spin cycle dyed in the wool. And I have 2 skeins of this color. This is Deep Bump, which I think would just look fantastic. So I have two different skeins. They're, you know, as per spin cycle, they're not exactly the same. This one's a little lighter and has a little more gold than this one does, like a little bit brighter gold. Yeah, and this one, it's still got a lot of gold, but it's a little cooler toned. Well, you know, they're fine though together. And again, like I'll only be using less than half of whichever one I choose. So now there are two other contrast colors in this sweater. So looking at this, if we were to riff off this, it seems like the contrast color, that's the neckband and the cuffs, should probably be a gold, a yellow green. So I pulled this, although I won't be using this. This is for from one of my other sweaters, but I thought for color representation, this might be good. It does, sorry, I just dropped it, pair quite nicely with the deep bump, but I thought I could also riff off of other colors in there, and I have enough of this sport base from Moondrake Fibers company. I just used this to make an akimi, and I have almost a full skein left, so I have plenty for that cuff and collar and cuff scenario. So these are quite beautiful, I think, together. I like how it sort of elevates the greens that are happening in deep bump. And remember that generally these are flex throughout the pattern. So yeah, I really, really love this combo. So then there's one other contrast color, which should be, which is like a textured mohair. I think it's cashmere, actually, a cashmere silk blend, but you can use the Surrey or mohair blends, or you can just use more spin cycle. So this could be my palette right here. But I thought it would be fun to play around with what might go well with this. I don't particularly like these two colors next to each other, although they would work. I just don't like the direction that this is taking me. I think I can do better here. So I decided to pull out my color wheel to get a better idea of where all these colors sit. So when you want to use a color wheel, you want to make sure you are matching your yarns to the colors that you're seeing. And then from there, you can use these center shapes to figure out your coordinating colors. So starting with the blue, it is very definitely in this blue shade. Actually, it could be more in this blue violet. It's right in between. I think it's more a true blue, because if I go around to the blue on the other side and I do the addition of black, you get this like dark blue, which is pretty close to what I'm getting here. Okay. All right, so we have blue. The mint is pretty much the green. So you can see it's not yellow green, it's not blue green, it's really in there. It's a little bit lighter than that. And then the deep bump is falling pretty much in there. It's a blue green, it's a sagey green. So that sage is a green that has lots of blue in it generally. Okay, so basically I'm here in this trio. So if I want a good contrast color, what I want to do is angle the triangles till I get contrast colors. So here we go. So there's the 3, red, orange. Or, no, so those don't really work. It has to be this smaller triangle. Yeah, so I should be in this category here for my contrast if I want to go that route. An alternative is that I could stay in these more harmonious colors here, maybe adding on a color from either side, a yellowy green or a blue violet. So along the veins of a fuzz, I have this that would match, that is in the red orange category, only this is very, very pale, and it doesn't really hold out it doesn't hold its own against these other colors. It just is too pale. So I think an elevated, deeper, less of a tint, more of a shade, a deeper shade of this will work well. Somewhere in there. I ordered some. I ordered some mohair because I couldn't find another color that would work. So I'm gonna see how that looks. But in the meanwhile, I did actually pull this just to see. It's terrible. I looked at other spin cycles that I have, and I have this one, which could be fun. This is the Mermaid's Purl, unique color. I think it's called Siren Song. But it has these beautiful rusty golds in there, as well as that blue-green. So it would kind of be pulling in from that trio and that, so that it is these together. So that's a possibility. I actually really like that. I think that could be really cool. So again, remember, in the sweater, the collar is this, then you do a zigzag pattern, and then you have more main color, and then you're popping in that other color. So that could be pretty. I could also flip it. So this could become the color that gets flecked throughout, which would be great. But I only have one skein of this. So I would be risking switching to something else down the road, like in the sleeves, potentially. So I don't know. Things to think about. I just wanted to share that with you. I think that might be it, this. I think this might be what I end up doing. We'll see. Okay, Alpenglow, take 2. All right, I am absolutely using this Phenol PT2 Rama. Oh, sorry about that jiggle. Wow, that was a big jiggle. It's color 4124. This will be the body, the main color. When we last spoke, I was planning on using this in Deep Bump, but I've had a change of heart. I decided, I should just tell you that I did get the Magpie Spicy Beaver, which is the color that Andrea used for her contrast collar and cuffs. I was thinking I would use it for the texture, but let's set that aside for a moment because there's been a development. I started to, when I ended the last recording, I started to think that I would really like this. I know it'll be kind of blendy when it's turquoise, but I think it'll be enough of a contrast. It's more of a low contrast kind of thing happening there at times, but I'm also going to get these shades of gold and orange that pop in this skein of Spin Cycle for the Mermaid's Purl. Yeah, I really, really, really like this. And so I realized that I had a really awesome color that would be good for collars and cuffs, and that is this one. So this is Lobby NMA. It's one of her Mizuyaki colors. It is the Calcifer colorway. I've been collecting her Miyazaki colors as they come out. I passed on the neutral, the ones that were Totori, I think. I can't remember, but there were some neutral ones, like beigey ones, that I was like, nope, pass. But I picked up all of the bright colors, so I have one skein of everything. This is an outlier in that pack, so I thought this might be really cool. Here, look at it though, it's like so vibrant. My thought for this was that this would make awesome collar and cuffs with the blue as the main body and the Spin Cycle as the and the Mermaid's Purl color, Siren Song, as the color that goes. Sorry about my toes being in there. I know, kind of creeps people out. Wait, I'll just move it all over so I don't have to worry about where my toes are. Yeah, so these three, I think, make a really good story. So I did have to order one more Mermaid's Purl color, so I got that. This is what it looks like before you cake it. This is a pretty similar color. I mean, it's always a crapshoot. Like, even when you pick up two colors from Spin Cycle at the same time, you're not sure what you're gonna get. And I think this one has a little bit more gold and a little less of this very vibrant orange, which I think is fine. Because again, like, you're knitting top down, you're doing the whole body, and then you're doing sleeves. So I'll probably do the start of the sweater with this and finish out the body, and then this will end up being sleeves mostly, and maybe even some of this will be sleeves, I'm not really sure. I'm not gonna do the textured yarn. My Spin Cycle is going to stand in for the textured yarn, and I think what I'll do is pull from the center at first to get like that zigzag band to be a lot of gold. And then I'll start pulling from the outside when I move to the next motif in the knit. And then this will be collars and cuffs. But so this is what I think is going to be my story. I think what's challenging about this pattern is that, you know, when you're dealing with Spin Cycle yarns, there's already quite a lot going on with them. And so you're trying to find a Spin Cycle yarn that will work well with a main color, and then you also need a contrast, and then you need yet another contrast. And it gets super confusing. I mean, you all know I use the color wheel when I'm trying to work out my colors. I go with, just to be clear, like I go with my gut, and then I check myself on the color wheel so I don't end up with a bad match. That always works for me, and it's helped me rule things out. So with the color wheel, with this palette that I've put together here, I've got blue as the main color. Here, let me just scooch everything over a little bit. So I've got blue as the main color. My contrast color is bringing in these shades of blue-green, and then it is also bringing in orange and red orange. And then I've got this color here from La Bien-Aimée, which is really pulling hard from this range here. So it's mostly this hot red orange with like pops of fuchsia, which would really be here in the red column. So what I am doing is I'm basically doing these two contrast colors here, blue-green, red-orange, and also doing blue and orange with a dash of this yellowy gold, this yellow-orange gold. So I'm in this wheelhouse here, connecting it with these colors here. And so if I wanted to do some type of textured mohair type thing, I would need to pull a main color from here, like probably over on the yellow-orange side or in the blue-green side. And I don't really, those are kind of hard colors to find through online, or even if I go to the store. I'm not going to have, it's going to be a hunt, and I just don't have the energy for that. I also don't want to buy any more yarn. I already bought 2 skeins. I mean, I guess I could use this, but I don't really like it so well, because remember, it's going to be laid right up against this. I think it detracts, so I'm just going to do this right here for the sweater, and I think it'll be really great. I think this is enough going on, and yeah, I encourage you to do your own color playing, and yeah, and work with a color wheel for sure to help finalize your choices so that you know you're working with colors that go together. Highly recommend. I hope you enjoyed that. All right, I have spinning. I finished my long-term color, single color tonals for we're out of handspun. I ended up making, I think it's 12 skeins. I think it's 12, it might be 13. So these were the last 3. This is my red, red violet, and maybe I should put it over here, and blue violet skeins. They are all 2-ply skeins. These last 3 were on the small side. So these 2 skeins are 80 grams and this is about 65. So I don't know why I just ended up with the smaller skeins, but it was like pretty easy to spin, pretty, you know, not too, no drama. The red did have, the red wool, I think it was the red, had some kind of coarse bits and bobs that I was spinning into it, but it turned out okay. Overall, it feels quite soft and nice, but I do think it's a little bit thicker than the fingering weight. I think it might be more like a heavy fingering to sport weight versus, you know, more true fingering weight. So this was an entire spectrum, like a rainbow almost, and I ended up getting a rainbow. What I did was I put together some fiber, like 15 to 25 gram bits and bobs of fiber that I had from past Advent, from Advents going back to 2020, so 2020 and 2021. And then I had some other small amounts of fiber. Like sometimes when you buy fiber, the merchant will throw in little samplings and stuff. So, and then I had some fiber that was just where I had spun something, but I didn't use it all up. So anyway, I took all of that. It ended up being, oh my gosh, I don't even know, like 40 ounces? Does that make sense? Yeah, I think it was about 40 ounces, 38 to 40 ounces of fiber. And then I just separated all of them by color to make some nice tonal fingering weight skeins, so that when I'm working on a project that just needs a, you know, pop of color or some color work or something like that, I could pull from this collection of single skeins of tonal colored yarns. So I'm so glad this is over. I have to say, like, some of the fiber, because it was small amounts, there was some felting in it, there were some problems, and like some of it had second cuts in it. It just wasn't a fun spin. It wasn't like a really joyous spin. It was just like, sometimes it was joyous because I was working with some really beautiful fiber like Pulworth and stuff, but other times it was just yuck. Like there were times where I was looking at what I was spinning and just really unhappy with it. But I persisted and finished. So I think I've overlaid some footage of the skeins that I took so you can see the whole spectrum and see what I got. Oh yeah, that is spinning. I have another spin project I am planning. I took some footage of my prep. For viewers who have been waiting to see my entire process of determining what goes together, like seeing my entire process of blending fiber together to get a sweater's quantity when you just have a whole bunch of just 4-ounce braids or 4-ounce bats that don't really seem to, like, what do you do with one skein? I mean, I just made 12 or 13 single skeins and I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I'm going to try not to let them sit in my stash a really, really long time. But yeah, there's a high possibility that's what's going to happen because I don't know what I'm going to make with them. They're over on the bed over there. I cleaned off over there. I also tidied up over here, so you're getting a little bit different view. You're seeing this is my jar of mini skeins from just anyone that I got mini skeins from. I just put them all in there. There's plenty of room. They're not compressed. And then right next to it, which you don't see off camera, is my non-superwash mini skein sets. I had a few of those. Yeah, so I tidied up and rearranged over here to make more room, and now I've got it completely covered again with stuff, so I'm gonna clean that up. Hey, it's Matt editing me. Before I started to break down my recording thing, and I took my sweater off because it's really hot. And I'm wearing a D&D shirt, Boulder Parchment shears. Rock, paper, scissors. Anyway, I wanted to just say that a few episodes back, a couple months ago actually at this point, I talked about perhaps making a Comfort and Joy holiday box for, that would be my hand spun yarn along with other things, other, you know, beautiful handmade objects from other makers. I was gonna like collect it. I was planning to. I realized that I do not have time to get that together for this year, for December 2022. So I'm gonna plan that for December 2023. I just wanted to put that out there in case you were saving your dollars, you know, to, you know, or whatever, planning on buying my box. So I wanted to let you know that I am not going to do that for 2022. I just don't have time. I want to work with, I became more ambitious as time passed. I want to work with a indie dyer who will make a special dyed color for us, for the box. And then I need to take delivery of that probably in like April or May so that I have time to spin the yarn over the summer and get those ready to ship out. So yeah, I'm going to do a little more planning on that project and plan it for December 2023. So look for more information about that in the coming new year. So it'll be after New Year. I'll probably do pre-orders sometime in the spring around the time when other indie makers are beginning to do their pre-orders for holiday boxes. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited to work on that and I have so many ideas. I just now need to really make them manifest. Manifest that. Anyway. Yeah, so I think that is all I have for you today. Like I said, I have been prepping. I did some fiber prep for a new spin that I'm super excited about. I really want to start it. I also set up a new spinning corner, a new little area in a dedicated spot to spin. I used to sit on my couch and spin, and I had some problems with color dye dropping onto my carpet and staining it off of the fiber that I was spinning. And then it's not so comfortable. Like, I've been spinning at my desk over in the other room where I have my home office, and that's super comfortable because it's more of a chair like this. It's more of a desk chair. So I took this chair and created like a little dedicated spinning spot in my living room where I can sit and watch, you know, shows on TV or just, you know, look out the window and enjoy, you know, the weather or whatever. My cat has taken the spot over. So I have some footage that I'm going to show you in the outro of that. We're in the period of time now where we only get warm weather when a hurricane is blowing up the coast, and that pushes the warm weather up. So yeah, there's some cooler days ahead for sure for us, and I hope you also have some cooler days because then you get to wear more knits. And that is so fun. It's so fun to wear what we make. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you again in probably 3 weeks, because 2 weeks from now is Labor Day and I will be away. So I will see you in 3 weeks. Bye now.